Okay, so yes, this is my final nutrition talk. Yes, this is the final Don't Wait to Lose session, but it's not an end, right? It's a beginning. We designed Don't Wait to Lose in the program in sort of like a course, so that by the end of Don't Wait to Lose, you would have skills that you would be able to take with you in the coming years and still stay in contact with us through the YouTube videos, through the newsletters, through emails, things like that, so that you can continually work on your diet and continually progress to a point where you're comfortable and you think, you know what, I can eat healthy day in, day out, I can resist temptation, I know what to eat, and I'm doing fine, and I can just keep doing that. This wasn't a crash course diet where you had to cut out all the food that you like and eat some weird things. You're not having watercress soup every day, things like that. It's not temporary, it's not a transient phenomenon. You're going to keep doing this. So what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to kind of review everything that we went over, and then I'm going to present it in a way that where I want you to be today, where I want you to be in 6 months, and where I want you to be in 2 years. So here was our starting point. I want you to think in your head and see if you can name the aspects of the Mediterranean diet. Does anyone think that they could name them right now, just off the top of their head? Shoot. Good. Key.
Whole grain.
Key.
Good fat.
That's right. That's pretty good right there. I mean, I'm going to go through it, but that's actually sums it up pretty well. So, proteins. More fish as proteins, right? We talked about the health benefits of fish. Many fish are high in omega-3 fatty acids, and they have those good oils that are going to help with your cholesterol. They're going to be cardioprotective, help prevent you from having things like heart attack, stroke down the line when you're eating more things like fish as proteins. When you're eating things like pork or beef, that's when you're taking in saturated fat. That's going to up your cholesterol. That's that LDL number that your doctor is always talking to you about. And so if you're eating more fish as proteins, you're getting a high quality protein and you're not taking in those bad fats. More fruits and nuts. This is a great thing to apply to snacking. You got your apple, you got your mixed nuts on the desk, and that's what you reach for when you're hungry at work, not a bag of chips. More vegetables. And that's, we talked about different ways to incorporate that in your diet, and that's something that you're going to struggle with, but you're going to get better at it, and as time goes by, you're going to be able to incorporate vegetables more and more in your diet. More legumes, beans and peas. That's that hummus you're eating right now. That's made from garbanzo beans. That's a legume. That's something that's very good for you. So, you know, eating things like red beans and rice, eating peanuts, which is a legume, soy products. More of those. Better fats. You hit the nail on the head. So what's the better fat? Anyone confident? Olive oil, but that's in the category of
Monounsaturated.
there you go, monounsaturated. Woo! Yes, it is. Alcohol in moderation. Now, you know, again, if you don't drink alcohol, you don't need to start. But 1 to 2 drinks a night is actually cardioprotective. Better carbohydrates, and that's whole grains. So I hope at least a few of you now have a little section of your fridge dedicated to some whole grains. No nods of the head. Okay, so maybe in the future. So the first day I talked about all these obstacles to healthy eating or excuses that we have. Real excuses, but I mean, the problem with eating healthy is one day you can set out and say, I want to eat healthy, but unfortunately there's so many things that stand in your way, from people selling you things that they're telling you is healthy that's not healthy, to your own gut and brain communicating in ways that prevents you from seeking out healthy foods and causes you to seek out unhealthy foods. And I put this in just kind of for fun. This is a study actually comparing people that were addicted to drugs like cocaine with people who are overeaters. And you can see how, I believe this was an obese person and this was a cocaine addict. And I'm not going to go through what it means, but basically you can see the way the brain lights up is similar. And so that's what you're acting against. It's not unlike someone who's dealing with an addiction. But you can fight it, and you have to be active, and you've got to know that you can do it. Just like anyone who's battling an addiction, you can get there. So here's one of the big excuses that we used to hear all the time is that I can't eat healthy because that stuff tastes bad. But I talked about this in my paranutritional talk, that you can change some of your eating habits so that you're eating some of the same foods, but you're just eating less. Things that are experimentally or research proven to work are things like using smaller bowls, eating slower, using smaller utensils. That's going to help you eat less while still feeling full. Because what happens is we eat way too much before our gut communicates to our brain and we even know we are full. So techniques like this will help you avoid that. So you can eat many of the same foods. I really like this diagram, so I refer to it many times. And it's just a situation where you can change the relative proportions of what you're eating, so that instead of having your whole plate taken up by steak or meat and carbohydrates, you have most of your plate taken up by vegetables and a little portion of meat, a little portion of carbohydrates. And that's going to cause you to increase your vegetable intake and increase your diet and lower the calories you're taking in. So if all you did was eat the same stuff, but eat half of it, you would lose weight. So all that talk about that stuff tastes bad, just change the way that you're eating. You don't have to change everything that you're eating. Eliminate everything you like to eat. So it's all about portion control. Another thing that we hear, I can't eat healthy. It's just too expensive. So, we're quick to spend money on medications and supplements to control our weight or health. You heard, various people asking me questions about supplements. I have this, is this good for me? Yeah, it might not be that bad for you, but spend your money on whole grains. Spend your money on fish. Spend your money on good, fresh produce. That's what's going to help you, not the, $30 a month you spend on acai berry, whatever, So, the culture we have is we wait till there's a problem, then we fix it by going to the doctor. No, start before there's a problem and fix your diet. Spend your money now, not later. So, make the right changes to your diet. Eat smaller quantities. Think of your diet as a medical expense. Because it is a medical expense, because all that bad food you're putting in your body now is going to cost you to spend, $30,000 on angioplasty later on down the road, or all the other associated medical expenses that come with obesity. So think of all that cost of the hospital visits and things like that, medical procedures. So another thing that we hear is, I can't eat healthy, it's just too confusing. Well, here's where the answer is. It's on the label. It's not in the advertisement. It's not on the front of the box. It's not in what your sister says. It's on the label. That's where the information is. They can't lie. They do everything they can to kind of rearrange the information in a way that's confusing, but the information is there. It does not lie. So here's what to look for just as a little review. And I hope you've been in the supermarket looking at those labels and been able to tell which ones are healthy. So we want low overall fat content. We want unsaturated fats, not saturated fats. We want low calories, right? Calories in, calories out. We want low sugar content. We want our carbohydrates not mostly sugar. We don't want something that says, 17 grams of carb, and we look down and it says 14 grams of sugar. Well, those carbohydrates are mostly sugar. That's not a whole grain. We want high protein, high fiber, high vitamin and mineral content, which can you see top of that in just a second. So like much of nutrition, reading labels is about finding that balance. Because I remember somebody before was asking me, well, what's better? Something that has more fat or something that has more sugar? Well, it really depends on the numbers. You gotta compare the two numbers, because if something has just a little bit more sugar but a lot more fat, well, that thing's going to be worse for you than if it was the other way around. I'm not explaining that very well. But what you got to do is compare the relative numbers. And sometimes what will happen is, like for example, in breakfast cereals, you got a really high vitamin and mineral content. So you look at the back and you say, oh, it's got all those vitamins and minerals. This must be good for me. But then you look at the other numbers and you see it's got a ton of fat, a ton of sodium, and a ton of sugar. And so that cancels out the vitamin and mineral content. Nuts have a ton of fat, right? But it's good fat. That's your unsaturated fat. So that's an example of a high-fat food that's actually good for you. Juice. Yeah, sure, it has the amount of vitamins and minerals of an orange, but it has the sugar of 10 oranges. So that cancels out those vitamins and minerals. So you got to look at all the numbers and weigh the pluses and minuses. It's going to take time before you're completely comfortable. So here's something that's not